Okay, this is the second part of the online lecture for Tuesday, the week of break. And in this analysis, I'm going to be demonstrating two ways that you could be completing your assignment. We'll be looking at both an ordinal variable and an interval ratio variable. First, we're going to look at views at sex before marriage. So this is the premarital sex variable. Before we get started, we need to look at the values under the variable view page of our data. If we look at this, we have options 1 through 4, but then there's a 5 other category. 0 is not applicable, and then 8 and 9. I'd like to recode these to exclude these from the analysis. So let's hit OK. I'm going to transform, recode into a different variable. I have my first variable, the original name of the variable, pre-MAR-SX, and I'm giving it a new name, premarital sex recoded. Remember that when you create a new variable, it has to be one full word, it can't have spaces in it. Then go ahead and go to old and new values. Now you'll notice I, in here, identified the values that we wanted to sort of identify just as system missing, and those were 0, 8, and 9 based on those values we just talked about. Now we want to go ahead and actually add in the original values, which actually have meaning in the data. 1, we still want it to equal 1. 2, we still want it to equal 2. 3, we still want it to equal 3. 4, we still want it to equal 4. And then let's go ahead and keep that other category for the sake of seeing what it looks like in the data. 5 equals 5. Okay, hit continue and OK. Let's go ahead and check out our data and make sure the variable was properly created. So here it is at the bottom of our list view. We can go ahead and add those labels in here in a moment. Let's just check our data view. And over here on the right, we see at the end of our data, under data view, our variable was created, and there's actually missing values there for people who didn't answer that question. So let's go back to our variable view. If we look back up at the original premarital sex variable, it was always wrong, almost always wrong, sometimes wrong, and then not wrong at all. Writing those down for myself so that now I can hit OK and go down to our new variable that we just created, go to values, and now I'm going to say, well, a 1 is going to equal, what did I say, always wrong. Add a 2 is going to equal, these are the different categories of the variable, almost always wrong. A 3 equals sometimes wrong. 4 equals not wrong at all. And then 5 is other. Okay. Oops. Oops. The 5 didn't make it in there. 5, make sure you don't make the mistake I did. Make sure you're adding each one to the list before you move on. Okay? All right, so now, looking at this variable, this is our ordinal variable, we're going to analyze and look at the frequency distribution, the percentage frequency distribution for this data. So click on Data View. We're going to click on Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, and Frequencies. Now let's go ahead and find our new variable down here at the bottom, premarital sex recoded. Now we want to do a couple of things. We want to create a frequency distribution with percentages, which is part of your assignment. And down here we see frequency display is checked, so that's fine. Now let's go up to statistics. This is an ordinal variable, and so I feel most comfortable reporting the mode or the median. Let's request both of them right now, and we can decide later which one to include. And hit OK. All right, and then we can say OK here. And here, below, we have a couple of things. We have our statistics, our mean and our mode are reported for us. I'm sorry, our median and our mode are reported right here, which are 4. So we can argue that based on the mode, the category that people were most likely to agree with was the not wrong at all category down here. 34% of respondents, or I'm sorry, 51% of respondents. Now we want to make sure that we use the valid percent column because this one is excluding those missing values that we had before. So we want to use the valid percent column. That's important. And then up here we have our median and our mode. Mode, again, showing that the majority of cases fall. The category with the largest frequency is not wrong at all. And so these are the two tables that you would put into your actual analysis or into your report that you're going to write up. And before the tables, I would put in your 4 to 5 sentence summary explaining what you're seeing in here. What is the most common category that people agreed with or responded with to this question? Make sure, write this up as a report where you tell me, okay, what was the question? What category had the most responses? What category had the fewest responses? Do we see sort of a general trend at all? Go ahead and explain this for me. Again, make sure you're using that valid percent column. Let's go ahead and move on to, I'm going to look at the number of hours on the internet each day. Or is that each week? Let's go ahead and look at our data and find out. So variable view, number of hours on the internet. If we look at how that question was asked per week, and let's look at the values. Okay, let's go ahead and do one thing quickly just to get an initial snapshot. One of the parts of your assignment is to create a histogram. This just sort of gives us a sense of what's going on with the data. So go ahead and go to Analyze Descriptive Frequencies, just as we did before. Actually, no, we're going to do the histogram first. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Graphs, Legacy Dialog, and then down here to histogram. Now let's go ahead and find our variable. I know mine is right down here at the bottom. And so we plop it into the variable category. And now I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Okay, so down here below, we see how people responded with the average number of hours per week they use the internet. Does this look normally distributed to you? No, it's very much skewed. Look at all these outliers. There's some people who are on the internet upward of 80 times a day. That's crazy, right? So in this case, we're going to not want to use the mean, right? Because we only use the mean as the measure of central tendency if the data is normally distributed. In this case, it is not. So we're going to use the median. All right, so you're going to right-click on this table, and you can copy it. And again, you'll want to copy this into your report, this table. Now let's go back to our data because now we need to actually... All right, my computer accidentally turned off there, so I'm going to do the last step again. When you go to your data list, we can go ahead and actually create a box plot in our descriptives by going to Analyze Descriptive Statistics and the Explore option. Plop in your variable of interest, in this case, hours on the internet per week, and hit OK. And what this does for us is it produces some of our descriptive statistics. Up here we have our median reported right here for our variable. So the median number of hours on the internet per week for our respondents was about 5. We have our min and our max. Here's our standard deviation of 11. Let's see, we have our range. All of our cases fell within an 80-hour range of each other. And so here are a lot of the statistics that you'll need to be able to report. You can copy and paste this table into your report. If we scroll down here to the bottom, here's our box plot, right? What is this telling us? This is telling us the same thing that our histogram told us. Imagine flipping this to the right? This is dramatically skewed. We have our median down here. Most of our cases are clustered, and then we have these outliers. These respondents who are spending a lot of time on the internet, right? And so that's important for us to be able to talk about the distribution of the data, that this is positively skewed. Now there's one statistic that was not reported here, and that was, let's see, the quartiles. So in order to get the quartiles, let's go back to the data view. Analyze descriptive statistics. I think we want descriptives here. No, let's do frequencies. So analyze descriptive frequencies. We have, let's take out our old variable and put in our hours per week on the internet and our statistics. And here we can actually request the quartiles up here in the top hand corner. And we know we're going to use the median, and we'll bring up our standard deviation and variance again. All right, click OK. OK. And here we go. Here's a really long table that we don't necessarily want. I forgot to uncheck the frequency distribution, but this tells you there was one person who said that they were on the internet 1 hour a day, or 18 hours a day. There were 26 people who said they were on the internet for 0 hours a day. But just above here, it tells us our quartiles, which are actually listed as percentiles, but they're quartiles, right? Because they're 25%, 50%, and 75%. So then you could use these quartiles to create your own box plot, but we already did that in this case. So these are different ways, different tools that you can use. And again, you'll want to make sure your statistics that you're reporting, the graphs and the tables that you're reporting, you're copying and pasting those graphs into SPSS. And when you're all done, you're going to come up here on your output page, looking at your output here, and you can actually export your output. And you want to export that and save that as an external document to attach to the back side of your assignment. There is a way if you can export this to Word, if your output can take up a lot of pages, and if you export this to Word, sometimes you can delete the white space. There's a lot of white space in the output, and so you can delete some of that if you'd like. But what I'm going to be looking for is if I find that one of your variables is reporting a really wonky mean, for example, that's incorrect, I can go back here and look at, oh, well, maybe they recoded something improperly, or maybe they requested the wrong variable when they were putting together their box plot. And I can help figure out those issues that you might have had when you were doing this assignment. So please use this as a guide. If you go through all of these steps with your two variables, your interval ratio variable and then your nominal ordinal variable, you should be completely set for having all the information that you need to then put together your report for assignment 2. All right, well, thank you very much.